Hello and welcome to another episode of Tactics Ogre. I'm Butlee, I'm drinking coffee. This is a hard fight. We don't talk about religion and politics on this channel. Sorry if the sound quality sucks, and we live in Australia. Now we've got all the usual things out the way. We usually keep saying these things, we're not going to talk about them anymore. Say hello to our co-caster, Patch.
A co-caster now, eh?
Well, I could think of worse things to say about you.
I know, but that's what I mean. Feels like I've been promoted.
You're not getting paid more. Well, I will double your pay.
Both those statements are true.
Dear. So, in Storyland, we are now going to journey towards saving Falkirt's friends.
Okay.
I want to put the imagery back in people's heads. When we were talking about him before, we were saying it'd be funny. He's supposed to be like 24. All the characters are really young in this, but I like imagining him now that you've mentioned it as like an old man who he just wants to please everyone. Like he thinks like he's old and like virtuous, and he was probably a really good guy in his time, and now he just sort of wants to appease everyone. He just says shit and thinks it's profound, and it just sounds silly. And when you've got that in your head, every line that he says is hilarious. So here he is, like, steady, I'm coming. Waste the old fool. Oh, he's a pirate. Pirate Daza.
He's clearly a berserker.
He is basically berserk at the idea of pillaging women. What?
Oh,
Let's see,
Jesus
Gilbert,
Christ.
our new little ninja.
Gilbert.
Gilbert. Yes, Jill. This is his duty. He's been relegated to throwing items at people.
Yay.
Yay. Trying, maybe he'll stack up his, I don't know, what do you call it?
The
His
hell are
finishing
those?
move. I'll give you a hint. It's a platform that we may or may not have used to play Magic the Gathering.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, are they cockatrices? My only other guess was Chimera.
They're not as menacing to be chimeras, I guess.
Also, I think you mean a platform we may or may not have used as an open source way to play card games.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now we're not just going to get copyright striked, we're going to get arrested. Damn, I did such a good introduction too, and now I'm going to get arrested.
I'm sure we're not notable enough yet.
Notoriety. If episode 21, no, what episode are we on? Episode 20 magically goes missing halfway through the playlist when we're like super popular, it's because of this. If you're hearing this, feel lucky that you got in before the police did.
If we suddenly stop uploading videos.
Skill rank up 1.
Yay.
That is significant because now our longbow archer has a finishing move. Long range
okay.
dark weight. Oh yeah. So we're at this point in the game now where, you know, slapping for 30 or 40 damage per turn is a thing, but we really need to start doing more than that. And that's where skilling up your weapons, getting level 2 weapons, having the finishes, they start becoming a lot more significant. I just mention it because some of these, like the mini bosses or whatever of the leader of each team deals a lot of damage, and some of these beasts have moves that deal a lot of damage, but our weapons are scaling up to suit. And honestly, Johannes, the berserker there, is really not having a good day. Like, just
You can
hasn't.
stand him on the water's edge.
He just hasn't
Yeah.
come to our 4 yet. Yeah, I'm trying to find the best way to hide Gilbert. Yeah, Donatello, you defend him. You're the defensive cleric, you got this. Anyway, I don't think anything too significant happened, so what we've got to do, this is another, it's not an escort mission, but it's like the escort missions here. We're trying to save our friend, crikey, what's his name up there in the top? The blue mage.
Old man.
Old man that Falkirk
Yes.
loves.
Yeah.
He's his friend.
Gotta save old man.
It's Bayan or something like that. So yeah, that's the trick. It's another one of those, if he dies before you save him, he's gone forever. Whereas if you save him, you know, you get some dialogue, you might get some other choices, more conversations. Banging. And unlike what a mage should really do in that situation, i.e. hide, he goes straight for the boss and starts throwing rocks at him.
Ah. Come on, Rune Fencer. You gotta land a hit eventually.
Yeah. I really want him to level up his spears just so he can get a finisher, because it'd make that whole doing a bit of damage every turn sort of more significant.
Yeah. See, that's how you use a spear.
From range, no retaliations.
So if you can hear any wind or anything slamming, it's because it's very windy today.
Well, I don't know. Sound quality is a bit come and go, touch and go. My mic is not the best. I don't always sit still, and that only makes the problem worse and things like that.
I found your sound quality to be pretty good.
I don't know why I thought that would work, but oh well. Like, I try not to use the chariot, but honestly, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, the chariot or the wheel or whatever the time thing where you can go back and redo moves.
This is brave.
I'm basically just trying to take the attention off the mage.
Yeah, fair enough.
Canopus can go down and I can just run up there and revive him, whereas if the mage dies, he dies. So we're a bit of not quite immersed yet. You could probably play the game with a bit more realism if you didn't do things like that.
Take that, chicken.
That kind of thing annoys me because he left it on like 7 health, so I have to dedicate a whole turn to finishing it off now. I probably would rather if he'd have hit one of the higher health guys and let my archers kill it, because they wouldn't have taken like 2 turns. Because these things can like fly and hop over people's heads and stuff. You have to really deal with them, otherwise they will kill the backline.
Yeah. I noticed you hadn't set up much of a protective wall this time.
Yeah. I mean, some of that's just the nature of escort missions too, because you have to like be ready to rush the backline. Like you'll notice where Donalto is, he's technically sort of like, if I can lure Bayan down this way, I can probably heal him even if he's on top of that tall bit there. I'm sort of trying to make a path for... Did I take Voltaire or just Falcourt? No, I can actually look at my little chart on the right and see that I didn't take the other knight. Did you notice?
I did notice your little chart.
No, I meant we didn't take Voltaire because we actually, now we have Falcourt and we have like main character.
I did also notice that you only had the one knight. I assumed
But we're a knight class 2, so...
Yeah.
And look at this, well, as soon as I send Gilbert up to attack, the cockatrice says, yeah, none of that, stop.
I assumed the reason you didn't bring the knight is because the other guy has some form of aura. You know, that aura they have to stop enemies from moving?
Yeah, rampant aura. The main reason was just because I already took a cleric, and we have Quechua, and we have sort of the enchantress who's kind of a healing... She's used Quench before, I believe, that heals.
Yeah.
I just didn't, you know, and then I have 2 knights. If I'd had a 3rd knight or another cleric, I just didn't want too much healing, and because you know, every time you have a healer, you lose damage. So I was really just trying to get some more damage in there. That's why I've got multiple archers and things like that. We will branch out in classes too. Like you can see, we're trying to level up our ninjas a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got the Beastmasters, we've met Terror Knights, so soon we'll get some class marks and we'll be able to start using them. Did we meet that
I don't think you need to use Terror Knights. Doesn't seem really appropriate for you.
We met the Dragoon, right? So that's a class that, you know, is a pretty cool class, so we'll definitely have a go with that. Like, all this is to come. We're in, say, middle of chapter 2, and I think there's like 4 chapters, and the last one's quite huge, so... We're not like significantly through the game yet. We're still posturing, really. So there's plenty of time to use all the other characters. And as you've seen with the class system, you can kind of change in and out. Like you can change and change straight back and things like that. So we'll do a bit of that. At this point, maybe after this episode, or I can't remember if it was just before or just after, I did like a fair chunk of research on just stuff that we could do. you know, I didn't like to get too far ahead of where we are and whatever, but I just wanted to plan a few things and try and do a few fun things, so we might see some of that coming up. And that's where I started thinking. I started making notes on like, oh, we want this kind of character, we want to try this out, and then I started trying to plan how to integrate that into the team. So
Yeah.
I think I show off a thing here. This is why I like rune fences. He uses HP infusion. He basically trades off the yellow TP bar and gets health, that much health.
Yeah.
And it costs 50 to use, so it's at minimum a 50 HP heal. And it's an ability, not a attack, so he can attack and then use it.
Yeah.
And so it makes these rune fences that until now have been really squishy jack of all trade guys. It makes them really, like, they can last longer, it makes them more durable, they can just keep running, taking a lot of hits, because your TP bar goes up when you get hit
Your
as
magic
well.
harp is slowly turning into a Gyarados.
I mean, I don't know if they'll ever quite be Gyarados level of amazing, but I always found him useful. You'll see in the next few episodes we actually we try a few other things out with rune fences, so you'll start to see a few more reasons why I kind of like them. And I didn't notice at the time, but Butlee has actually done the finishing blow on both the cockatrices. He is forever known as the Chicken Slayer, the Chicken Chaser.
Kicker?
For
Yeah.
all them Fable fans out there. So as you can tell,
All one of them.
anyone who still remembers Fable, or first Fable. So here I have obviously got one eye on where that red health winged guy goes, because I really want one in the team.
Yeah.
I'm desperate. I actually, that's a discussion for another time. I start thinking of other ways. Donatello and his recruiting is not going so well. Well, I mean, he had his first success. Maybe things will get better. But I might look at what other options we have, getting people to try and recruit people. I really like two-handed axes. It's a shame they don't deal more damage. Hopefully he'll just level up and turn into a damage machine.
Hopefully.
And you'll see we just picked up some ore. Just remember that for future videos. Like, when we use the ore, you'll be like, oh, that's just the stuff you just found around the place sometimes randomly. Yay. Nah, 0%. I don't know what makes recruiting stronger. I think you have to be higher health. If they're below 10% health, they're flashing red, that makes it easier. And then just proximity. I don't know if like higher ground does anything, or if it does matter how much higher in health you are, or level, or anything like that. So I haven't really ever figured that out. It's the sort of thing you could look up, but a lot of info on this game is hard to find. It's all message boards from like 6 to 8 years ago now.
Oh well. Jesus Christ, that guy's gonna solo the boss at this rate.
Yeah, you find some of these guest NPCs do stuff like that. Especially when they just beeline for the back line and they go, yep, I'm gonna kill all the casters and the healers and stuff. Anyway, did we, were we going to go on with our discussions on FPS?
Yeah, sure. Just round it off, I guess.
Yep, we had a couple things to say. Well, we got like another 10 to 15 minutes of fighting and then a bit of a cutscene at the end.
Yeah.
So we got time to close off a few issues.
Well, where we got up to is we talked about old games. We talked about guns and how in older games, guns and enemies especially were a lot more varied. And so having the right gun for the job was often like a part of the game. Knowing what to use against what was, a big part of it. And that gave the games a sort of depth to themselves, whereas a lot more modern games, you can just take any gun and perform about as well against anything.
And the gun that is the best is unrivaled because there's no point ever not using it.
Yeah, there's a lot that, you've always got abundant ammo, or if you don't have abundant ammo, guns tend to be very similar, so that you're not pressured to go outside your comfort zone, I guess. And that was one aspect we wanted to bring up. And the other aspect that I've really been interested in bringing up for old versus new shooters is level design. Level design is actually so important and so overlooked in so many things. It wasn't something I actually really looked into myself until I played Dark Souls about a year ago. Started playing it and yeah,
So
knuckled
behind
down and played that.
times,
So
damn it.
yeah, well, you know, I try to give a bit of leeway to see if games are actually good before getting them. Usually, looking at you, Civ 6.
Oh, God.
So
Don't open that. Don't open that wound.
so level design is hugely important because level design allows you to structure things. This is something, I don't know, it's a commentary on a lot of things, and level design is such a huge field, so I'll try to stick specifically to first-person shooters.
Right.
And the two things I've noticed from modern first-person shooters is making games harder tends to be a case of you put more enemies or you put in higher health enemies or higher damaging enemies. It's rarely a case of a structured challenge. I know that sounds hypocritical because old games did the same thing, but it's the specific way it's been done because of the lack of enemy variety. Whereas older games, when they put in a tougher enemy, it was an enemy that functioned in a different way or, you know, was different.
Right, they worked really hard
games-
to make everything unique and interesting.
Yeah, newer games tend to have enemies that are very samey. They're all just point and shoot enemies. And sometimes even boss type enemies or challenging enemies are just point and shoot enemies. And that tends to be a little bit of a disappointment for me personally.
Well, that's kind of
see
what
you
we were
trying to-
saying. I was just trying to figure. As I said, I don't know the best ways to do it, so I'm like, do I need more health? Is it better getting higher ground? Should I talk to him front
Yeah.
on? I don't know if any of those things matter. It turns out I don't think any of it does. So this was the best position.
So,
Oh.
and the second thing for level design is I've noticed a lot of games don't use verticality. And verticality is something I think is integral to level design. Being able to manage a level up and down, not just because you're playing a 3D game, a first-person shooter. And I understand that it's very difficult for players to deal with enemies on higher levels, but a degree of verticality allows you to do a lot more with your game. It allows you to have enemies who are higher up. It allows you to have weapons which are more effective at dealing with enemies higher up. For example, a weapon that fires in an arc, like your old flak cannon or a grenade launcher, that's a more useful tool at shooting at an enemy that's higher up than you than shooting a straight gun. And that gives you a sort of position where a different tool would be better to use.
I guess
and
the
that's
hardest
just-
part
yeah.
when you talk about elevation and escalation. How do you
Elevation's
sort
a
of
good word.
define, like, I don't know. It's like we said, sort of Borderlands gets a bit samey, but I mean it
Oh,
has some degree of elevation. Like, what's the difference between that and say something like, I don't know, Doom or the old James Bond that sort of had relevant and interesting elevation?
Well, the difference is when you're fighting an enemy in Borderlands, you're typically fighting all your enemies in one direction. There's very few times in the games where an enemy is on a higher level than you, and you're fighting enemies on the ground level. Usually you can see an enemy way in the distance who's standing on a platform, and that might be like what you consider them being on a higher level, but it's very rare that that will actually come up and be a significant part of this encounter. That's because a lot of these encounters aren't particularly structured. They just spawn a bunch of random enemies and you fight them.
Yep.
Whereas an older game, say, I'll go with Half-Life, because Half-Life's good for this. Having an enemy on a level higher than you might be like, oh, they're going to throw a grenade, or that's a sniper, and that's another thing you must deal with alongside enemies coming at you on the ground. And you deal with them in two different ways. In the case of, you know, grenades or snipers or whatever, you have to get something up there to hit the enemy.
Yep.
And in the case of on the ground, you've got whatever the enemy on the ground is bringing.
Yeah,
And
that's fair
it's- Same goes for Doom. Like, you'll often find there might be like a cage section, and in that cage there could be guys with, you know, like shotgunners or chain gun sergeants or whatever they're called. and they'll be behind a cage and elevated, and then on the ground you'll fight like pinky demons or imps or something like that, who are more melee oriented, and then you have to sort of balance your the way you're fighting this encounter, because you've got to focus on the enemies higher up because they're more dangerous, but the ones on the ground you have to maneuver around, and it becomes a lot more like involved, structured.
Yeah, there's more going on. It's back to that concept of you have to change and adapt to the environment around you instead of just showing up. Now that we learned that elevation and things don't really matter, we go for round 2. You'll notice, failed again. You notice that we were down to 40%. I don't think that's got anything to do with health or anything. I think the more often you try it on a single unit, the less chance you have.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, so that's the thing. This battle's kind of, I don't know, I think it's actually wrapping up. Maybe the cutscenes go for a bit longer than I thought. I sort of poked the boss with RSL before because what I obviously can see is his body's all over the place. I don't want to spend all my money reviving everyone when the boss has only got 1 hit left, so I got him as low as I could. Just did some hits to try and knock off some people, but you know, like this starts happening now because I've like broken rank, and eventually I just get sick of it and just finish it off. I think I might use counterpurse, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The problem is just like you can heal everyone and piece everyone out and do whatever you want. You can extend fights, whatever, but obviously items cost money and we're not super wealthy, so as cool as it is to chase after her with Volker, to use Canopus to go after him or whatever, I think I just finish it here. See, I'm just looking like he's 4th in the list. You can see the list, the turn order down the bottom, and yeah. So I'm just like, okay, we'll finish this fight then. Fell dry, you won't be pleased.
That's all you care about in your death?
Do you even know who that is?
No.
Wow. Insincere much. Could be
That
like
better be bloody important.
That could be like his mentor. Or his boss.
Or his wife.
What is this? A pirate who gets married?
Stranger things have happened. Maybe he was secretly the good guy.
Maybe he was. Yeah, I'm kind of just stalling because I know there's cutscenes that'll work. I'm not gonna like narrate them, but we might talk about the cutscene while the cutscene is happening.
Sure.
I mean, is there anything else you want to add to the FPS thing? I mean, we can always pick it up another time if we want to.
Like this discussion about secrets and things, but I think the main points have been made.
Yeah, fair enough. This is another one of those things. Remember, Folkert is the old man who's going a bit senile. We didn't save everyone. They've taken Sistina. Surely we must rescue her. And like, the obvious thing is like, yeah, of course. And he's like, but first we must take them to Rhyme. And I kind of get it, but again, imagine, old man, he's like, his duty is to do what he promised. See? Even though it's obvious that we shouldn't just leave his friend to die. He's like, I'm a knight, I'll not break my vow. Generic sea water and seagull sounds in the background.
Those sea tiles don't look very good like that.
I'm afraid.
You can almost see the grid.
I actually don't mind the boat. I mean, you gotta remember, I don't think this was ever meant to be looked under a microscope like this. It was a little handheld game. You notice a bit of a trend throughout this whole thing. Ketchua is getting more and more jaded to any type of fight. But she hasn't, like, she wants to just sort of keep running, but she doesn't really know what she wants. Like, a couple of times Butlee's called her out as well, saying, hey, what would you rather? Like, we can't not fight if people are trying to kill us, and we need to be good people and don't forget who we are. And she's like, I just don't want to do any of this. I want to wash it. And you're like, like I said, more pragmatic about it. You're like, well, we have to do something if we want war to end. We can't just sit here.
Yeah.
I like it though. It's just character moments. Whoa, what is going on your end, sir?
What do you mean?
Crackling and stuff?
I'm not doing anything. Oh, maybe the cat stepped on my cord or something where it plugs in.
You have a cat?
You're gonna help.
You have a cat?
We all know you're gonna help.
Pixie, your cat?
Yes, Pixie.
I should have really got rid of the thing on the right. It's annoying now.
Oh, well.
Doesn't matter. Well, just believe.
I was close to think the cat just stepped on the spacebar.
Yeah, you are doing the cracklings.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure why that is.
Yeah. It's really bad.
I'll stop talking.
It's not when you're talking, it's when you're not talking.
Oh, well then I'll keep talking. I might just turn my microphone off in that case if it's
Alright,
a problem.
just listen and I'll talk through it. And Patch is gone. Well, he's still here. What do we do for the rest of this episode? We have a look at some of our dudes. We have a few skill things to go through. There's one thing I want to look at, but I think we teach some moves first. Word of Pain 2, that'll power up our mage, Mr. Bouchard. I'm just making sure he's topped up. If he's going to be our primary damage dealing mage, he needs all the things that he can get. I guess I go through magic for all of them. I think what happened is I went into that fight and I must have noticed I had like Aqua Blast 2 or something like that on Annabelle or something like that. It just reminded me to go and teach a few extra things, make sure I've got them. As you can see, I just flick and have a quick look at what mages can learn on that screen with all the little head portraits. This is Bayan, he's an earth mage, so I just double checked that we can do all his stuff. He has resist silence, which is kind of cool. It's not a big deal now, but some units definitely start targeting you and going after your mages and trying to silence them. You get people with weapons that cause silence and stuff like that. So a lot of these things, as you get more into the game, become more relevant. But that's fine by then because you're starting to build up your 10 slots and your SP points to spend on stuff, so it's good. Excuse me. I noticed that out of our 2 ninjas, Gilbert didn't have ninjutsu, and it's not the whole point of having a ninja is to use the ninjutsu skill, but you might as well have it. It's a nice little bonus, and you might use it sometimes. What was I doing here? I guess just topping up Fries White as well. I've got this boon of swiftness, which we haven't used yet. It casts like haste, and haste in any kind of spell that you like in any type of game or RPG. You always know haste is good, so just trying to pass some of that around to people, making sure.
I'm back. Am I still crackling?
A little bit.
I think I am. I can sort of see when I can see the highlight thing when I'm not talking going. That's really unfortunate. I'll have to fix that up in, another time. Sorry, I don't know what's happened to it.
I mean, maybe just stick with it. There's only a few minutes left of the episode, so.
No, it looks really bad.
I don't know.
I can't tell because I can't hear it.
It
but
comes and goes. It's really hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the sound of me talking over it probably drowns it a bit. And when you talk,
Okay.
you tend to drown it. So just stick with us. We're nearly finished.
Yeah, I think it was the cat. I think the cat nudged all my cables and she was jumping around, getting chased by the dog. We have a cat and a dog.
Yay.
It's
a good
it's
combination.
funny.
Take the most timid of cats and the most young and playful of energetic doggies.
Yeah, so my pets or our pets here, my good friend War, who we must mention once a video as well.
I should have put him in the intro. God damn it.
I know, you messed it up.
Next time.
So,
I'll get it right yet.
Yeah, so our pets are Pixie and Teddy. Teddy's the dog, Pixie's the cat. When we got Pixie, we were sort of calling her Pixel a little because we thought we were being cute. Even though that's terrible.
I still think it's cute.
And I called Teddy all sorts of names, like I call her Toodles and just whatever I feel like at the time.
She's like,
I
all
sort
I
of
need to hear
realized
is syllables. I'm good.
Yeah, and I sort of realized at one point that I've been calling her 2D.
2D.
So we've got 2D and Pixel.
Fair enough. I like it.
That's my story for the day.
That's it. You and your animals.
Yeah. Also, did you hear some blipping before?
No.
Ah, I was trying to harass you on Discord because I knew you weren't on Steam.
I might have muted all that stuff on Discord. I'm not sure.
Damn it! I was trying to interrupt even the videos I was in. Oh,
Pirates
definitely
of
some noise around here.
Sama. So that's where we're supposed to go to free Sistina. That place. Damsa? Namsa? Nadamsa? I don't know.
Butlee, did you say Pirates of?
Yes.
Da-da-dun-dun-da-da-dun-da-da-da-da-da.
The warrior, Sistina. She was taken back to the pirates den. They literally just pillaged all the women. It's disgusting.
Yeah, kind of creepy. But, I mean,
The
it was a
pirates,
different time.
what do you expect?
Gentlemanly behavior and,
So Folka, he's 24, but I like to think he's more like 64. He's like he remembers that all he needs to do is be noble, but he's so out of touch with the world.
I think it's interesting because in a sort of way, the way the story could play out is if you do good, you meet good people, and those good people are sort of like, I don't want to say attracted, but they gravitate towards you based off your decisions.
That's kind of what happens, to be honest.
Yeah, and likewise, I was going to say if you do evil, I imagine you'd attract more power-hungry, less trustworthy people who all flock under your banner. And I like that as a theme.
There are a
that
couple
you're
of people
attracting.
you meet that, like they will join you or not. Like you'll meet them no matter what alliance of terms of like good or bad you are. Excuse me. And they'll join you whether you're going down either path. Like they won't join a good person. Right? Anyway, his wife Veldre.
Ah, I was right.
Daza raided the vessel in which she had taken passage. He basically kidnapped her. And she got like Stockholm syndrome. And then he got her pregnant and they decided they were going to marry.
Oh, that's terrible. Even pirates think they should get married if they're going to have kids.
It's kind of emotional, but we did just kill a potential dad.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was thinking, because that's something I think I've mentioned before. The last thing a character says should usually be the most meaningful thing to them on a personal level.
Yeah.
And the last thing he said was Veldre won't be pleased because he's not worried about, like, he's dead. He knows that.
What I like is the phrasing.
About,
he's not worried that she's going to be lost without him. He's like, she's going to be angry that I died.
Yeah.
And that's like such a cool... It tells you so much about her, like straight up.
Yeah.
It's really cool. What I like, just to round this out, is that characters have things going on and the whole game doesn't revolve around you. You're like one little tiny character, and until you start doing things that make you relevant, like sure, when we were like fighting to kill Nabeth, or we took the Duke's castle and freed him and things like that, yeah, then the story revolved around us. But now that we're just fugitives, no one cares. You know, the pirates don't really care. The people fighting us are just bounty hunters looking for the 30,000 goth, you know. We're not relevant anymore in the wider scheme. And I like that. These pirates have got their own thing going on. We're just like normal people in the way. And that's what I really like about this story anyway. Just the stuff going on around. Anyway, on that note, we might round out and catch you guys next time.
Catch us all again.
See ya.